Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Give me a quick yes in the chat if you can. Yay! Fantastic. Welcome to the grant orientation session for the American Dream Literacy Initiative. If at any point during this web session I am hard to hear or my microphone's doing anything weird, put it in the chat. Be sure to let me know. So the American Dream Literacy Initiative is a program of the American Library Association managed by the Public Programs Office in collaboration with the Office for Diversity, Literacy, and Outreach Services. It's made possible through generous funding awarded by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation. Let's see, I'm advancing. So welcome to this session, our orientation session. I'm Mary Davis Fournier, the Deputy Director of the ALA Public Programs Office, and I'm joined today by Kristen LaHerde, the Assistant Director, Literacy and Continuing Education from ALA's Office for Diversity, Literacy, and Outreach Services. I'm also yeah, hi, right. Hi, Kristen. We're not, we're in the same building, just not the same office. I'm also joined, although they are not on camera, by fantastic members of our team. Brian Russell, a program coordinator in the Public Programs Office, who is probably the best known to you all since he is the Master of Communications for this initiative, and also Samantha Oakley, a program officer in the Public Programs Office, who is spearheading many of our online learning sessions. So just a couple of notes about our virtual classroom. Only our presenters have microphone access in this Zoom session, but you're welcome to type your questions or comments in the chat box. To send a chat message, move your cursor to the bottom of the Zoom window and click chat. If you have any technical issues, please use the Q&A window to communicate with the Public Programs Office staff. And to send a message to the Q&A feature, move your cursor to the bottom of the Zoom window and click on Q&A. Please don't put tech questions in the chat window. They could be missed because sometimes that window is busy, everyone's saying hi or commenting on the presentation. We want to be able to respond to the technical questions as quickly as possible. At the end of the presentation, we will have time for questions from everyone. So we will either go back through chat and read aloud for everyone and respond to any questions posted, or you will have time to just post your questions there. This session will be recorded. So if you want to review any of the information from this session or share this with your team in your library, you can do so via the archive session that we'll send out later today. And I see everyone has been posting who they are and where they're from, so please continue to do that in chat if you're just joining the session now. So, congratulations! You all comprise the 7th cohort of the American Dream Literacy Initiative libraries to be awarded these $10,000 grants. I hope everyone's going, yeah, in their respective offices or libraries where they are right now. So I just want to give you some information about this cohort you're a part of. We had 98 applicants to this grant. This was a very competitive process. We had more applicants than I think we've ever had before. So you are each to be congratulated for submitting proposals that our peer reviewers, who are library workers like you, judge to be thoughtful, impactful, and representative of adult literacy work that could be sustained. So truly, kudos and respect to you all. I'd also like to call out Blount County Public Library in Maryville, Tennessee, and Montgomery Floyd Regional Library in Christiansburg, Virginia. These two libraries are in their 2nd consecutive year and final consecutive year of grant funding. And so I'll say, I'm not putting you all on the spot, but I'm saying to you now that these are your experts in the cohort. And both Ari Baker and Monina Hall are to be saluted for their efforts with this initiative and their sustainability efforts in their community. But before I get into all the grant requirements, I'd love to invite Kristen LaHerde to provide some program history and context for the American Dream Literacy Initiative. So I'm going to switch slides and turn it over, mute myself and turn it over to you, Kristen.
Thanks, Mary. And hi, everyone. I'd like to extend my congratulations to you all as well. I know how strong the applicant pool was and how many worthy applications the reviewers had to choose from. So truly congratulations on being among the select group to receive the grant this year. I wanted to share a little of the program's history to give context to what you'll be a part of in the coming months and beyond. Our partnership, as you know, is with the Dollar General Literacy Foundation, and it dates back to 2007 when ALA and Dollar General first began conversations that took shape then as this program that you're a part of. We're very grateful to Dollar General for now 11 years of investing in this program and in libraries and the communities you all serve. When we marked the 10th anniversary of the program last year, we published a retrospective report. And that report includes profiles of some of the grantee libraries, including 2 in this round, and findings from a multi-year impact study. And if you haven't seen the report, I encourage you to take a look at it. It's available at ala.org/American Dream, and we can put the link to that in the chat as well. And as Mary mentioned, you are part of the 7th round of grantees. The first grants were awarded in 2008, and starting in 2017, we've been able to award grants annually. So some numbers for you that you see here. Over 7 rounds, we have awarded 230 grants to urban, suburban, and rural libraries. And the number of grantee libraries is now at 200 across 35 states. In total, the program has awarded over $1.8 million to libraries. Okay, next. Thanks. So as you know from the application process, the overall purpose of the grant is to help public libraries in Dollar General communities add or expand literacy services for adult English language learners and/or adults in need of basic education and workforce development. But the program has an additional purpose, and that is to build a cohort of libraries. And that includes the cohort specific to your grant year and also a larger network of all the libraries who have received an American Dream grant over the program's history. Together, you are truly a community of ideas, experiences, and resources that can help each other build sustainable and replicable programs. And I do hope that the cohort will take shape as a community and that you'll find support and inspiration from each other. And I want to say also that from the outset, it's been a goal of this program to provide resources for the library community at large and to be able to highlight your programs as replicable for libraries, including ones that may not receive this grant. And it's also to be able to share best practices from your experiences serving your communities. So thanks.
Thanks so much, Kristen. Really appreciate your insight. Kristen's office has been really stewarding this program from its inception. And although the Public Programs Office manages the grant and supports this cohort, Kristen is really ALA's expert in the area of adult literacy, and she and her colleagues in the Office of Literacy, Diversity, and Outreach Services are really our guides in so much of this, so thank you. So now I'm going to briefly go over the terms of your grant agreement, which really are your responsibilities as project directors for this grant. So they're very straightforward. Spend the money. Spend the money. You all submitted great plans and a budget to spend the money. Please do. Please spend it within the grant term. So you have essentially a 10-month budget, and please pay attention to that and spend it. Related to that is that we require you to complete all required reporting, and that includes submitting any requests for program or budget variances over 10% to us in writing, and that includes personnel changes. So if you're moving on from your library and someone else is taking over as project director, we need you to submit that to us in an email in writing. We'll go over some reporting deadlines a little later in this web session. We require you to use the PLA project outcome platform. I'll talk about that a little bit as well a little later. We require you to participate in the virtual professional development offerings. We'll go over some of those dates and that timeline in a few minutes, but the requirement according to the terms of your grant agreement is that at least one library staff member attend these sessions. So hopefully you as project director will. They're not limited to one member. You can bring other members of your instructional or programming team on. Absolutely, we welcome all involved staff, but one representative needs to be there. You are required to develop your sustainability plans. So you talked about sustainability in your proposals. We are asking you to also use this time to think about how these programs will be sustained over time, and that will be a major component to your final report. We want you to be able to continue the services established or enhanced through the American Dream Grant, and we hope that this will be a mindful time to really think about that and talk about that with your leadership. We need to share the great work you're doing. We want that to happen. So we ask you to share any print or online resources that your libraries developed for your American Dream Literacy Initiative. What will we do with those? Anything you share, we will add them to resource area of our project website. We will possibly ask you if we can blog about them or ask you to blog about them via one of the ALA websites such as programminglibrarian.org. We ask you to post them to an electronic discussion list and share with each other. We hope you view this not just as a cash grant, but also a time to really share what you're doing and share with each other. You are required to promote the American Dream Literacy Initiative by using the program logo, the ALA logo, and the Dollar General logo whenever possible in your materials. We require you to inform your local and statewide library networks and your local Dollar General about this grant, about your specific project. And if you haven't already let your local Dollar General store know, then use this as an opportunity to reach out to them. Many of you, sort of looked on the search and find feature on the Dollar General website to make sure and verify that you were within a 20-mile radius of a Dollar General store to be eligible for this. So this is also an opportunity to let them know. So these are the top 2 most asked questions about the grant funds. So we made a slide. The programming period is a 10-month-long period. It starts in February. When do you receive the grant funds? The answer is you should have them. But there was a polar vortex last week. Mail is what it is. If you have not received your $10,000 grant check, if your library or system has not received that, by next Wednesday, February 13th, contact Brian Russell. His email's there in case you don't have it memorized already. Contact him immediately and he will be able to trace the check and look into it. I believe they were also sent with the project director, the submitting project director's name as attention to. So hopefully you have received those, and if not, they will be turning up very soon. The grant acceptance form says we have to spend or allocate grant funds within 180 days of receipt. Does this mean I have to do everything I proposed within 6 months? Isn't it Isn't it a 10-month long programming period? The period is 10 months long. You don't have to have spent it within 180 days or 6 months, but you must have created a plan for spending. So what we've done is we've made our interim reporting deadline July 31st, 6 months in. And the idea there is that you submitted a grant budget when you proposed this project, and sometimes things change a bit. So we're giving you basically the first 6 months to closely spend down, monitor how your grant spending plan is going, and if adjustments need to be made, we need to hear about those by the 6-month mark, by that interim report. You don't have to wait for the interim report, but we definitely need to know whether your spending's on track or whether you want to adjust budget lines within that by then, and you need to submit that for approval. So all grant funds must be spent down, though, within the program term, which ends November 30th, when your final report is due. I hope that's clear. If it's not, put some questions in the chat and we'll go over it at the end. Okay. So, communications requirements. Again, we have an official program credit line. This is highlighted here in red. On all of your publications and all of your communications about this grant, we really, really need you to include the American Dream Literacy Initiative, a grant offering of the American Library Association, is made possible by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation. All printed materials need to include logos. We realize that sometimes there's not space for that if you're doing social media postings, if you're sending out partner letters, if you're just making small reminder cards, if you're putting notices on your checkout receipts, but we want you to use the logos whenever possible. January 23rd, you should have, or the library project director whose contact info we have, should have received a press release templates in English and Spanish, as well as a template for a letter announcing the program to any community groups you may already be in touch with or intend to be partner with. From our office, from Sarah Osman, our communications manager. I believe earlier today she also sent out logo files so that you have all of those materials. If for any reason you can't find those or don't have those, just be in touch with us either via the listserv or email Brian Russell directly. In March, we're going to present a media and advocacy webinar that will cover outreach to non-English media and media in general, also respond to questions that you all may be posting via the electronic discussion list for the project. So look forward to that. So we'll also be sharing and introducing the Public Library Association's Project Outcome Platform and the specific American Dream survey templates with you via a digitally delivered webinar that will not be live, but will be asynchronous, so you can access it as needed. And we realize that many of the libraries in this cohort already participate in Project Outcome, but there are some for whom it's all new, and we feel that this overview will be helpful for anyone. But I'd encourage any of the libraries who are with us today, who have used Project Outcome and found it to be useful, to chime in about that, and also to share your experiences via the electronic discussion list. One of the advantages to the Project Outcome survey tools is their new integration with Google Translate, which can, in some cases, really streamline participant feedback among a multitude of non-English speaking populations. So here is a summary of important dates to keep in mind and deadlines. And yay, you're past the first one. Congratulations to each of you for returning your grant acceptance forms. that triggers the cutting of your grant check. Again, the program period, February through November 2019. Our date for interim report and budget updates is July 31st. And our final report is due, you may submit it either 2 weeks following the end of your American Dream Literacy Initiative programs or by November 30th, whichever comes first. If you're a real go-getter and want to look at those report requirements now, you can go to the Apply site, the Apply system site here at the bottom, apply.ala.org, and you can check out a PDF of each of those report forms so that you have a heads up about what they're involved in. Although we will have, of course, a web session about exactly how to do that coming up. So that's sort of all of your requirements. But a real intent for this project is professional development, is to help expand sustainability for literacy initiatives in your libraries. And we hope that it is also contains some professional development for you as individuals in your team as you take on this incredibly meaningful and important work for your communities. So we have a number of professional development sessions that required, again, is a minimum of 1 library staff member who must attend and participate in these project support online learning sessions. All of the online learning sessions will be sent to you as a pre-recorded bundle by March 22nd, with the exception of the media and advocacy session, which will be live. We're finalizing that date now, but we'll post it to the listserv in the next week or so. Our office, ALA's Office of Communications and Marketing staff are working on pulling that session together, and they will be fantastic. And in response to feedback from our round 6 cohort, we are introducing something new this week, this round. We are going to start scheduling monthly 1-hour peer-to-peer Zoom sessions starting in March. So we will post to the project listserv some sort of doodle so that you all can sort of weigh in on when the best time would be. Given everyone's geographic disbursement, we may want to try to stagger those times some days, some months. But we will get that out via the electronic discussion list, and we intend to have, starting next month, 9 sessions over the course of the program year. And should you, as a cohort, want more of those sessions, we're very open to that. But we're going to start with a minimum of 1 a month to begin with. And speaking of the electronic discussion list, so far, by now, you each should have been added to the discussion list. And it's been great to see activity on there. Everyone's sort of saying, hey, so far. If you have colleagues who are co-leading your library's work or a part of a team, and you want to add them to the discussion list, that's great. Please contact Brian Russell and he'll be able to add them. We really hope that you use this list to learn from each other, to share ideas and resources, to share helpful tips, to ask questions, not just of project staff, but of each other, certainly of our veterans in there who were part of the last round. We hope that you'll share updates on your program, how it's going, or when you've had a blizzard or a polar vortex like we did last week and nothing went as planned. You will find great support, I think, from this cohort. And then we will also be using that electronic discussion list as a way to post updates and reminders about things being due, or the archive of webinars being posted, or if we're able to add anything to the program as a resource for you. Okay, I think that with the contact us list slide up here is it, and all the information that I sort of wanted to orient you to as part of our round 7 cohort. And now I'm hoping that I will stop talking for a little while and we will be able to really dive into questions that you may have about this. So I'm going to mute for a moment, and I think Samantha or Brian are going to help us sort of sort through any questions you posted, and either Kristen, I hope you'll jump in. Brian, you are the master of the progress of this initiative, or I will be able to answer your questions or get back to you on the listserv if we can. Thank you all.
Looks like we have a question, Mary, from Chester County Library team. Can we begin to spend the money as soon as we receive it?
Please do. Yes. Technically, your programming period started February 1st. So yes, those monies are spendable. Absolutely.
Rose is wondering, is there a list of libraries and their grants so we can find similar libraries with GED programs?
So Rose, are you asking if within the cohort others are doing similar GED programs to you, or are you wanting to access previous participants or libraries in the American Dream Initiative? I'm sorry, this is awkward since I'm the only one with the mic. I'm going to assume that you're thinking about within the cohort and current but open to any. Okay, so I'd suggest a couple of things, and Kristen, you may want to hop in here too. I suggest number one, there's a list of all the libraries that are part of this cohort that we can flip back to, and that is posted on the website. Almost many of the libraries are doing GED work, and what I'd suggest you do is post to the listserv sort of exactly what you're up to and invite responses from your cohort members. We don't at this point have a sort of public-facing summary of everyone's programs, but that's actually a great idea.
Great. The next question is, when we contact Dollar General, is there a specific person to speak to about the program, like a manager, or do you know someone that we're supposed to notify specifically?
I will answer that, but Kristen, correct me if I'm wrong, just to speak one more thought about Rose's question. If you look at the long-term findings report for the American Dream Literacy Initiative, there are a number of case studies in there as well. And the list of all the libraries who that have received the grant in past. And I think that's also a place to go beyond this cohort to look for folks who have done that work. And Kristen, you may have something to add there.
Sorry, I'm working on unmuting myself and presenting myself. Okay. No, I mean, that's exactly what I would say. I would say, even though there's not one sort of like go-to place that would list all of the grantee libraries and the projects that they did or how they spent their grant funds, I would point people to the report for some specific features on libraries that would have programming details, and then also to use the listserv, and just to put it, to put out there, especially if you have specific questions, like we're getting a GED program started and could use advice on this aspect of it, something like that.
And Ari, thank you so much for volunteering to be in touch. They are a fantastic resource, and the work they've done in Blount County is is wonderful. So seize that, Rose. But also Julie suggested programminglibrarian.org, which is to me, because that's our website, but they've also done some fantastic profiles. And if you're not on programminglibrarian.org, check it out. It's just a tremendous treasure trove of model programs and best practices. And then the question about Dollar General. Yes, talk to the manager. Just let them know as an FYI. Each store has a manager. You don't need a name, but it is just a sort of grant stewardship courtesy as an FYI to let them know. So thank you.
Great. And then Nadine is wondering, our grant involves continuing education for adults over 21 who have aged out of high school. Our book group has adults in their 30s and 40s. Is there anyone else doing a program similar to ours?
And I'm saying silent and leaving this to the group to respond to. And I also suggest, Nadine, if no one's immediately coming forth here, and some of that also may be because their sort of efforts are starting and finding out who the populations in need are, then I suggest also posting that to the electronic discussion list. And if you are not having luck finding anyone to talk this over with, then let us know, let the project staff know, and we'll work with our OLOS colleagues and we'll find someone for you. But look at this, again, Ari. You are a great group, look at this, you're all talking to each other. It's fantastic. I'm trying to see, are there examples of the required reports that can be referenced? So yes, if you go to the apply website where you applied for the grant and you look in there, there are the report forms for the interim and the final report. The interim report is very brief. It's really just asking for an update and for you to verify your budget. Thanks, Samantha, for posting that. Do you have any tips for talking with reporters and television crews? Yes. However, those tips will be, they'll be conveyed in our media webinar. If you have a need prior to that webinar, which I believe will be taking place in early March, and we will have that date to you very soon, please let us know, and our communications manager or members of our media, our communications and marketing office at ALA can work with you individually if you have a need prior to that webinar. I love this. Everyone's sharing ideas already. This is so great. Yes, and Samantha's posted Sarah Osman, who's our fantastic communications manager, her contact info. She also, I believe, sent out the logos and the template press releases, and she's very experienced with dealing with media. Report is coming tomorrow. Okay, we'll be on it. We'll put Sarah in touch with you today, and she can determine whether or not you need to be in touch with ALA's media officer as well. But congratulations, that's fantastic. So Jennifer is asking, can you repeat that about media tips? Is that what you just posted, Samantha or Brian?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. what I was saying is we're having a media webinar that is about media and advocacy communications. That will be taking place in the beginning of March. We are working on getting that date to you. It sounds like at least one of you already has that need, and so we will be able to address that need with you on an individual basis. So if any of you have concerns about this before our early March webinar about best practices in terms of dealing with media, please just shoot us an email and or directly shoot one to Sarah Osman, our communications manager, whose email is sosman@ala.org. It's posted in the chat, and we will help you in any way we can. Sure. Is there a place to share photos? That is a good question. So I'm thinking about this. We will take that question and be able to get back to you via the listserv about this. We've absolutely asked you as grantees to share photos with us as part of our reporting or sort of along the way during the project. And we definitely use those photos in our reporting and on Programming Librarian and when we're sort of telling the story of this initiative. But I will talk with our communications manager again about if there is a place where everyone might be able to share the photos. Yeah, and that is also telling me that we probably need to circulate some best practices in terms of photo permissions, unless everyone here feels they have that sort of locked down with their libraries. Yeah, Patricia. Maybe Patricia, if the group feels that there is a desire for it, you might share those waivers as well with via the listserv. Thanks. All right. It's looking to me like things are slowing down in terms of questions. So what I'd invite you all to do is move this discussion to the electronic discussion list. And gosh, if a number of you want to have a Zoom session, even a video Zoom session with each other before March, put that on the electronic discussion list, and we can try to make that happen as well. Just open up an hour in Zoom so you all can sort of speak with each other. Those sessions are really meant to be for you, and we're happy to host it. I'm gonna take this one last question, and then I think we'll say goodbye for today. But let's see, Patty is saying she'd like to purchase different materials for the ESL program than what is listed in the grant application. Do I need to submit a different materials list? Can you, if you have the list, the easiest thing for you to do probably is yes, to do that. I don't have your proposal in front of me, but we would be looking to see if it's a substantive change to the intent or the argument you sort of presented for need for the grant funds. So send it along and we'll just take a look at it, and we will be able to respond and get you any approvals very soon. So thanks. generally, as I said, this is if it's, you know, really something that was different from the essential argument you made for need. We're not in the business necessarily of troubleshooting the materials you are as experts choosing. Okay, thank you everyone. We are so excited about the work you're doing. We are so grateful that you have applied for this grant and have brought with your proposals all of your energy and expertise and desire to provide this incredible service for your communities and sustain them and expand them. So thank you. We are looking forward to working with you, and we will be as responsive as we possibly can to your needs over the course of this grant. So thank you all, and thank you, Kristen, for riding along with us on this, and thank you, Samantha and Brian, as well, for your fantastic support in this web session. Thanks, everyone.